Shabbat Shalom. I'm Cantor David Proser from Kempsville Conservative Synagogue, Kehillat Bet HaMidrash in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And this is our Torah commentary for Shabbat of January 2nd, 2021, corresponding to the 18th day of the Hebrew month of Tevet, 5781. We thank Rabbi Joseph Prauser, Rabbi Joyce Newmark, Rabbi Adam Rosenbaum, and the United Synagogue Torah Spark series for their various teachings and publications on this week's Parsha. This Shabbat, January 2nd, we read the Parsha of Vayechi, the concluding Parsha of the book of Bereshit, the book of Genesis. It begins on page 293 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 180 of the Hertz. We ended last week's Parsha with Yosef reconciling with his brothers, sending them back to Canaan to get Yaakov and the rest of the household, and resettling them in Egypt in the land of Goshen. We learned how Yosef's policies saved Egyptians from the famine, but resulted in the forfeiture of all private property, land, and cattle to Pharaoh. The average Egyptian became a serf to Pharaoh, but Yosef's family prospered in Goshen. This week's Parsha, Vayechi, marks the conclusion of the book of Bereshit. It's the end of the beginning. We're told that Yaakov lived in Egypt for 17 years, forming a symmetry in his life, as he also enjoyed 17 years with his beloved son Yosef before his disappearance. As Yaakov's life draws to a close, he summons his son Yosef and secures a commitment from him to bury him in the land of Canaan. Later, Yosef brings his sons Ephraim and Manasseh to visit his ailing father and receive their grandfather's blessing. Yaakov tells Yosef that Ephraim and Manasseh will be considered equal to Yaakov's other sons. Though Yosef positions them carefully so that the elder Manasseh is at Yaakov's right hand, Yaakov crosses his arms, placing his right hand on Ephraim. Despite Yosef's objections, Yaakov calls Ephraim by name and blesses him as the firstborn. Yet another instance in every generation of the line of ancestors in the book of Bereshit where the younger will serve the elder. Being a firstborn in biblical times appears to have been quite a mixed blessing. According to Rabbi Jeffrey Kalmanovsky, on the one hand, firstborn sons received a double share of their father's assets. On the other hand, the most recognizable pattern in Genesis, and to some extent the Tanakh, the entire Hebrew Bible, is that younger brothers win out, surprising us every time by ascending to leadership, playing the key roles in the destiny of the Jewish people. Yaakov also blesses Yosef. God will be with you and will bring you back to the land of your fathers. And here it is again, continuing the pattern of favoritism that led to such adversity in both of their lives. Yaakov tells Yosef, I give you one portion more than that of your brothers. From his deathbed, Yaakov offers final words to each of his sons, some of them harsh, others filled with blessing, anticipating what the future may hold for them and their descendants. Before he dies, he repeats the instructions to bury him in the ancestral plot in the cave of Machpelah, which his grandfather Avraham had purchased. Yaakov dies at the ripe old age of 147. Yosef weeps bitterly at his father's death and instructs the Egyptian physicians to embalm his body in preparation for the return to Canaan. Egypt observes 70 days of official mourning for Yosef's father. Yosef secures Pharaoh's permission to accompany his father's remains to their final resting place. Yaakov's sons, accompanied by Egyptian dignitaries, carry him to Machpelah and observe a 7-day mourning period. With Yaakov gone, The brothers fear that Yosef will seek revenge for selling him into slavery many years before. They tell him about Yaakov's instructions that he forgive them, although the reader of the Torah can find no mention of any such statement actually being made. Yosef assures his brothers that they need not fear. Although you intended me harm, God intended it for good. Fear not, I will sustain you and your children. Yosef lives to see great-grandchildren. Before dying at the age of 110, he secures a promise from his brothers to carry up my bones from here, when God will return their descendants to the promised land. The Haftorah for this week is from the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12, beginning on page 313 of the Eitz Chaim Chumash and page 191 of the Hertz. In the Torah portion, the dying patriarch Yaakov assembles his sons, speaks his last words of guidance and admonition to them, and blesses them, each one according to his personal blessing. In the Haftorah, King David, feeling his end is near, gives his son Solomon, Shlomo, the best of blessings in words which point the way of life for every son of Israel. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, and to keep his statutes and his commandments. David is preparing his son to take over as king. David is quite aware that his temporal power is coming to an end, and he prepares his chosen son to take over. The final episode in King David's life is poised on dealing with the real political issues of succession and maintenance of power. Shabbat Shalom, good Shabbos. Thank you for watching. Please be sure to subscribe, to like, to hit the notification bell so you'll always know when we leave new content, and thank you for leaving comments below. Shabbat Shalom.